need to be dignified. You need to be bigger than you are. No.
Get
your money and get in your damn basement.
Are you trying to tell me that if I wanted medals, I should have did that in the military, where I actually got my medals? Wow, this is kind of weird. So you're like here.
I'm here.
Like in my space.
Yeah, in your space, your basement.
I turned the claymores off. Obviously, you noticed that.
I appreciate
You're
that.
You're in one piece.
I saw the dogs were put up in the kennel. That was nice too. You know I can't run fast.
This is not Photoshop.
No.
Or Final Cut.
No.
Matt's actually here.
I'm here. He's here too.
So with that,
this exists. This whole beautiful
he's in the
compound.
basement.
Yeah, in the basement exists.
So today I wanted to kind of walk through a bunch of ratings. This is a claim that somebody got med boarded out, got a bunch of ratings. We'll throw them on the screen. I just wanted to get what your lawyer brain thinks about, where this guy's at and where he could go with it.
Yeah, so Craig, this is one you and I were talking about where the guy's at 90. And how often do we hear people say, hey, I'm at 90. How do I get to 100? And if you're at 90, you probably appreciate that VA math is broken. Is that a kind way to say that? Or just completely asinine?
Asinine.
Yeah. Yep. So, you're at 90. Let's say you're at a straight 90, and then all of a sudden you get a 40% for a new back rating. Well, that's great, right? But no, that's only a 94% because you only get 40% of what you're healthy, and the VA considers you 10% healthy. So we got this up on the screen here. This fella who's 90% has a host of just all kinds of ratings, lots of orthopedic. And the question is, what can this guy do that's going to be the least amount of effort to get him up, right?
Yep.
And I think just looking at this, first of all, I'd like to know more about his problems with his orthopedic stuff, like with his knees. He has knee strain, but does he also have instability of his knee? That's one that the VA...
Three ratings, right?
Right. And so he's got, does he have instability? Does he have arthritis? So those would just be a dime here, a dime there. But I'm sure.
Is it instability and then flexion and extension?
Yeah.
Right? So did they combine things, or so that's?
Yeah. So but those are three separate ratings,
right?
And then
in each knee,
and then then each knee, and if you've watched the boot camp, I'm sure he's gone through the whole bilateral factor together.
Okay.
And then that actually helps you get higher at the end. But again,
and this guy's already got some solid bilaterals. He's got them upper body and lower body.
Yeah.
How many bilaterals can you have? Just upper body and lower body?
Just upper body and lower body, but think about how many joints you have.
That's extra 8 points.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's,
right.
Right. I mean, you can get a ton on all those.
I think my bilateral factor is just for my feet, so it's probably like 2.3% or something.
But when you get close to the end, that matters.
Huge.
Yeah.
Oh, huge.
So this gentleman is 93% if you were to do all the VA math together. I look at this and I see that he's 0% for sleep apnea. I got to tell you, I've never seen that. They either deny the sleep apnea or they grant it with 50%. So I'm assuming he's not on a CPAP machine.
Right.
So,
and obviously he's not worrying about the diagnosis of the neck or the nexus. He's service connected.
Right. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, no CPAP.
Yeah. So I would look to see, can I get a CPAP, or do I have hypersomnolence? And if he has one of those, that'll bump him up and hopefully get him up to that 95. All he has to get is 95%, and then he goes straight up.
He's at 9, right? So you need a 30% or a 50%. Done.
Right.
Sayonara. Thanks.
And then the other one I look at, and this is me beating my drum here, if he's 70% coming out of the military with major depressive disorder, that to me is huge. VA does not give away any kind of mental health ratings at all. I mean, they want to deny you straight out. They want to say this is prior to service. They want to say you have a personality disorder. Or they say, fine, here's 10%. But they gave him a 70. That to me says, is this guy going to be able to hold down a job? If he can't hold down a job, I'm looking to get him 100% through unemployability just for that. And then...
special monthly compensation.
Exactly.
Yes. And K.
And K. Yeah, right. So we kick in...
Just to start off with.
Yeah, kick in more to start off with, because you can show that one disability is 100% or IU and the other disabilities obviously combined to 60. So that's another $300-400 on top of the, $3,500 now?
Yep.
So
35.
That's a great way to go. But so, you look at the knee strains, you look at wasn't there ankle problems?
What about GERD at 0%? What's your take on GERD? Not being a doctor or knowing the symptoms, I get it.
I did sleep in a Holiday Inn last night. I don't like GERD as much because they can just screw with you on that. It's kind of like hearing loss. Like even as bad as it gets, they're still going to lowball you. So let's say, that's a great question. So let's say, okay, you fight hard and you get the 10% rating for GERD. Well, you take 10% of 93. No, you take, what is that, 10% of 7, because that's the leftover.
Right.
And that's less than 1.
Right.
And so you're still at probably 94% and you didn't even get up. So
Yep.
I'm looking to fight. I mean, my whole thing is let's fight for the ones that make a change.
Sleep apnea for sure is
Definitely.
worth looking at for sure. GERD, maybe not.
Yeah, and the bilateral factor, which you said is so huge with the knees in particular.
Hypertension, so that's objective 100%. So you either have the numbers for it or you don't, right?
Well, with hypertension, it's funny. The max, this is one of those crazy things. The max I typically see is about 10%.
Right.
It's controlled by medication, but it's gone up. But if somebody has hypertension at 10 or 20, I'm looking for secondary problems. I'm looking for heart problems. I'm looking for strokes. I'm looking for kidney problems. Like that just causes all kinds of awful issues. So you could have a 10% for that and then 100% for your heart and 100% for your kidneys, just secondary to that.
So since we're in the 1 year presumptive period, and this guy's not even completely, well, he's out. He hasn't been a veteran that long. He doesn't even need to worry about secondaries because everything's direct service connection.
Because
so
it happened in service. Interesting.
Maybe there's other things he didn't file a claim for.
Yeah.
Like not bad. He's got probably 20 things listed. He's got about 15 things on deck. Yeah, maybe he needs to just go file some more.
Yeah,
claims.
I mean that's a great point. It would be what I'd call secondary service connection, but since it's
to
so
a normal
close,
veteran,
right? But since it's so close, it probably started in service anyway, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if he has a kidney problem,
he just got out.
Yeah,
or that's the way the VA looks at it
right,
in that year period, right? But most of us don't even figure this shit out till way long after. Deviated nasal septum. My experience with that and having it is 10% is kind of high.
Yeah.
0% is kind of.
Yeah, they nickel and dime you on so many of these on here. I mean, yeah, I think we talked reflux as well, 0. I mean, maybe you get up to 10. It's some of these you just you want to avoid. You want to look at the diagnostic codes and see how can I get higher. And that's where I would look at, again, we talked about sleep apnea and then the depression.
And listen to the path of least resistance, right? Like that's why we're making these videos. That's why we do whatever, blog post content. There's a reason why it's called path of least resistance. Just believe us.
Right.
Like just because you have it doesn't mean, well, I'm going to be, you could be that one guy that wins it. But there's an easier way to go, just go the easy way.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, you're here to get your max compensation, your service-connected compensation. You get paid and get the heck out of the VA system and not have to worry about this. So you don't want to try to nickel and dime if you don't have to.
But I want the VA to recognize my disability.
That's what I hate about you, Craig. You always need to be dignified. You need to be bigger than you are. No! Get your money and get in your damn basement.
Are you trying to tell me that if I wanted medals, I should have did that in the military where I actually got my medals and the VA doesn't have, they don't do like brownie buttons or nothing.
they do little merit badges,
So, exactly. Not worth, if you want recognition,
go somewhere else.
Yeah, don't go to the VA.
But get your money that you are entitled to at the VA. That's what you want.
All right, I think that pretty much covers it. Good point on the knees. Is there, right knee strain, left knee strain, 10%, probably for pain on movement would be my guess, or they see a lot more and they're just doing the low ball.
Exactly, the low ball. They don't want you to have 100% coming out. I mean,
which is clear.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. And the funny thing is, people say, "Oh, I got 90%," but 90% is not 90% of the payment of 100. 90% is like what, $1,800? 100%.
Yeah, it's about $1,300 away from.
Yeah, I mean it's like 60% of the payment. So you just got to watch out how they do these things.
And that's good. Do you have any kind of guesstimation? I don't know how much when people roll out. I think this is good, especially since I rolled out with 0. How many people you think they just put them in the 90s? Instead of just give them that 100.
Well, I think anybody who's 100, who's getting med boarded out, they're going to try to throw in the 90s. Because, for one thing, they see that it's serious enough to get the guy out of service. But they're like, well, we don't want to start them at 100 because, you know, that's a lot of money the government's paying you, and the VA likes to save money wherever they can.
And it's more than you probably were getting paid while you're
Yeah,
there. Right? If you're an E1 or an E2, right, with the tax factor.
Yeah.
I don't know how much E1 is now, but yeah, it's probably not $3,500 a month,
Right.
tax free, which is another, you know, that's like 45.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
good
that.
money, but it's money you deserve.
All right, so that's one way to look at this. If you're on active duty, get those complaints in.
Yeah.
Some of this might fit on you. Maybe it won't.
Yeah. All right, that's a good one, Craig.
Cool.
It's good being here.
Bye.
It'd be awesome if you could just make